Hello, today's video is going to be another library book haul. I feel like at this point you know the drill. I'm going to first start with the book. You can see my phone. I have already read this book, 3 Martini Afternoons at the Ritz. And this is The Rebellion of Sylvia Plath and Anne Sexton by Gail Crowther. This is basically a kind of a dual biography of these two women who were both authors, specifically poets. I feel like everyone has an idea of who Sylvia Plath is, so don't really feel like I have to explain her. But Anne Sexton is also a poet. I just don't see her talked about as much. And this was an interesting book. I would say that it's definitely not the most in-depth. It's a pretty short biography and it's covering 2 people, but it talks about their like their similarities, their relationship between each other, because they did know each other and they met up for the 3 Martini Afternoons. But overall it's just kind of a biography about both women, themes in their work. As well as their day-to-day lives. Let's move on. This is the book I'm currently reading. This is Red Memory: The Afterlives of China's Cultural Revolution by Tanya Branigan. I cannot read backwards. This book I am not super far into, but this is obviously a nonfiction book about China's Cultural Revolution and, you know, the effects today, how history is viewed or altered in this case. It's a pretty dark book given the topic. But so far it's well written. There's a lot of personal like interviews with people who lived through the time and maybe got some of the worst effects of it, while also talking about the history. It's not just a bunch of interviews. It's interesting. So now we're going to get on to books that I have not read yet. This book is fairly new. This is called A Body Made of Glass: A Cultural History of Hypochondria by Caroline Crampton. This book is very dusty for some reason. I'm not going to go into too much detail over some of these books that I haven't read because I obviously haven't read them. But also, I feel like a lot of these titles kind of sum up the book's theme. At least I would assume so. So I think we're just gonna focus more on the sounds. dustiness is, it feels weird. That nice new library book, Crinkle. This is another newer book. This is Our Kindred Creatures. I know some people like tracing. I am personally not a big fan of it. How Americans Came to Feel the Way They Do About Animals by Bill Wasick and Monica Murphy. This is a fairly thick book. Again, nonfiction. I have been reading a lot of nonfiction lately. It's just what I'm in the mood for. Honestly, and this is probably going to sound super weird, but if I'm going through like a stressful, busy time, I really prefer nonfiction. I mean, it's one of my favorite genres in general, but with fiction, I don't know. It's kind of hard to like follow a story if you're also thinking about 50 million other things. Whereas nonfiction, I feel like, is more straightforward. You can see my lamp and my cup. These books are very reflective today. Reflective. This is a book that I honestly might have shown before, because I've checked this book out before, but I never actually got to read it because I ran out of time. But it's Into Thin Air. Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. I've read Under the Banner of Heaven by him, and I thought it was really well written. So I know that this book is very popular. This book came out in 1997. But I probably checked this book out, I don't know, exactly a year ago, so I don't know if it was ever seen in one of these halls or not, but it's a very hollow sounding cover. I really like the spine tapping sounds. Okay. This is another fairly new book. This is called The Swans of Haarlem by Karen Volpe. The subtitle, 5 Black Ballerinas, 50 Years of Sisterhood, and their reclamation of a groundbreaking history. Moving on, this is another newer one. This is Carson McCullers' A Life by Mary V. Dearborn. And this is a very chunky biography. About about Carson McCullers, who is an author, or was an author. Yeah, she's not still alive. If you're familiar with the book or the film, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, she wrote that. I think that's her most famous book. Very Southern Gothic style. But this is a long biography. Oh, maybe not. A lot of this is notes. About 400 pages. This is the book that I'm going to be reading next. I really like author biographies. I just find them very interesting. Moving on. Everything just fell. Oh well. I think I'll just do all the nonfiction at once. So this is Out of Shape, Worthless Loser. Just a crazy title by Gracie Gold. It's a memoir, and she is a figure skater. I have read ballet memoirs before. I have not read a figure skating memoir. I know that they're not like super similar sports. Is ballet a sport? I mean, I guess, because it's dance. I've never heard anyone refer to it as a sport. More of an art. Although I guess figure skating can also be an art. But I was just interested in seeing what it would be like. I'm curious about this memoir. I was really looking forward to reading this, and I still am. Oh, these piles are all over the place. Okay. I keep scratching my ankle because I got a bad sunburn and it's very itchy. This is The Time Traveler's Guide to Regency. Let's see. Britain by Ian Mortimer. And I'm really into these books about certain time periods, I guess. Like these fixated history books. The How to Be Victorian and How to Be a Tudor books by Ruth Goodman. I've talked about them before. And I guess I'm just kind of looking for more books like that. But I believe Ian Mortimer, yeah, he has also The Time Traveler's Guide to Medieval England, Time Traveler's Guide to Elizabethan England, and The Time Traveler's Guide to Restoration Britain. The font is very small in that section. I also read At Home by Bill Bryson, which is kind of, it's not like this genre, but it's about the history of homes and like rooms in the house and what they evolved from, and I just find that stuff so interesting, which I feel like I'm alone in saying that, but I don't know, I'm just crazy about these like low stakes history books. As in, like, there's not gonna be a ton of like super detailed talk about war or historical events, like you'll pass over them usually. But mostly it's just day-to-day life stuff, which I find really interesting in any time period. Just to see how people used to live in the past. This one's very crunchy, crinkly. If I like this book, I'm definitely going to read all of the other ones. So, if this book is good, boy, do I have a lot to read in the future. I mean, I always do, but what do we have next? I think I only have like 3 fiction books this video. I'll do the nonfiction, so this is a bit unusual. This is Dark Tide, The Great Boston Molasses Flood of 1919 by Stephen Polio. I believe it's probably not polio, but polio. This is exactly what it sounds like. The molasses flood. If you've never heard of that, I really recommend you look it up because it's just a very strange thing that happened. And also a very horrible thing that happened. I remember hearing about this as a child and being like, that's a myth, like a legend, or like an American fairy tale. But no, it's real. And I just find that so crazy. I wonder if there are any good photos in here that we can look at. Oh. It says it shows the immediate aftermath, although it's a black and white photo, so you might not really be able to see. But I figured maybe, I don't know. Am I selling you on this book? Are you interested? Does anyone who watches these videos also really like nonfiction? Or do you just really like book sounds and yapping? Because, I don't know, I watch book videos, ASMR videos, and it's usually books that I would never pick up, like romance and fantasy and stuff, which are my actual least favorite genres, and they're very popular right now. But I watch those videos anyway because I like the book sounds, so I'm just curious. Do you guys actually, are you interested in the books that I'm reading? Or do you just like the sounds? I'm not going to be upset either way. I'm just interested. So this next book, and my second to last nonfiction, is The Weight of Nature: How a Changing Climate Changes Our Brains by Clayton Page Altern. I am really into books about weather and climate, although more, I was gonna say more science oriented, but I don't even think that's true. I do like the, what's the word, sociological aspect as well. Psychological, sociological, I don't know. I like nature books. I like books about nature. And we have a hurricane. Yeah. I was gonna say maybe that's just a cyclone, but no, that has a pretty good defined eye. See, this book is nice and sticky. Well, it's not literally sticky, but sticky sounds. Also, if you have any nonfiction books you're looking forward to, let me know. I'm always keen to find more. There's a book that I'm really looking forward to called The Women Who Ran Fifth Avenue. Just about women in New York City, specifically running like the big department stores. So I already have that on hold. I have a lot of new nonfiction on hold. I have The Demon of Unrest. Yeah, I don't know why that sounded weird. By Eric Larson. That's his recent book. It's very popular. I've been on hold for a while, but I really like his books. That one is about Abraham Lincoln Civil War time. And I have, what else do I have on hold? Oh my god. Oh, I have The Anxious Generation. That's another really popular one. I'm totally blanking on the others, I'm sorry. But that's The Weight of Nature. That made it sound like nature is what's making me forget. It's not. So, 3 of the 4 books that I have here that are fiction are from this little challenge I'm doing with myself for reading women around the world, where I read a book written by a woman from every country, where it's possible. Obviously for some countries it's not, like Vatican City, because as far as I know nobody is born there, and I don't think a lot of women live there. I did some Googling on that, and it's just, I'm not counting Vatican, but there are some other countries where it's just not possible in general. There's just nothing published in English, at least. But I think I'm at something like 57 countries already where I've read the book or I'm in possession of the book. Yeah, 57. I think I just checked it. So I have 3 books for that challenge here. Oh, that's someone outside. I thought someone was coming in. There's someone like opening their car door. This is The Dancer from Kiva, I believe, by Bibish. This is my pick for Uzbekistan. The subtitle is One Muslim Woman's Quest for Freedom. And I thought this was interesting because it's kind of hard to find memoirs from certain countries. And when I saw this was a memoir, I was very, very excited because I love memoirs, obviously. Specifically memoirs from countries where you don't really know too much, you don't hear about them too much. So, a memoir from Uzbekistan was big. So I'm looking forward to reading this. sound. Kind of sounds like rainy static. And someone in the hallway is making a lot of noise. I don't think you're going to be able to hear it. But they're slamming doors like there's no tomorrow. So that's my Uzbekistan pick. And I just hit the blanket. Next is my pick for Jordan. This is Pillars of Salt. I don't like that sound with the fingernails, I'm sorry. This is by Fadia Fakir. Fadia Fakir. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The print in this book is very small. I don't like the way that this book sounds, I'm sorry. See, for gripping it's better. But like this cover is a weird texture. It's making like weird tapping sounds that I don't care for. They're kind of echoey. Let me read to you the description of the book. Pillars of Salt is the story of two women confined in a mental hospital in Jordan during and after the British Mandate. Maha, a peasant woman from the Jordan Valley, and Saad from Amman find themselves sharing a room. After initial tension, they become friends and share their life stories. The blurb is a bit longer, but I think you get the gist. But I'm excited to read this book as well. I'm excited to read all these books. That's why I have them checked out. This next book is my Taiwan pick. And this is The Butcher's Wife. The sticker is covering a lot. A novel by Li Ang. I think it's Ang. Translated from the Chinese by Howard Goldblatt and Ellen Jung. It's an interesting cover for sure. I like that cover. I think it's cool. And then on the back we have the author photo. But like I said, this is my pick for Taiwan. I don't think that I can read. I don't think I can read the description. It's a little violent. Maybe that'll spark your interest and you'll go and look it up or something. If you're still watching. And then my last book, my third book. What am I talking about? My last book, my fourth fiction book, right? No, my third fiction book. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's early. This is the third, this is what I meant to say, third in the series of the Neapolitan novels by Elena Ferrante. This is Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay. And this is the third in the series. I am crazy about this book series. It's so good. I read My Brilliant Friend for my Italy pick, and I got totally sucked in, and this is book 3 of 4. But I already read the first 2, and I want to know what happens, you know. These books are really good. And they're not romance books. I don't know, the covers make them look like really super lighthearted and like romance, chick lit type books, but they cover some really serious stuff. The covers are honestly kind of like very different from what the actual book is. But I really recommend them if you're looking for a series that's kind of like, I don't want to say slice of life because there's a lot of stuff that happens. It's not just like a day to day. But if you're looking for something that's very interpersonal drama, some serious stuff, as well as historical fiction, because these are set starting in the 50s, but they span like over time in Italy. They're really good books. Book 3 of the Neapolitan novels. But this cover is so like, oh, we're at the beach, we're at the ocean with a child. And it's like, that is a very happy cover for what these books are. But I'm probably going to read the 4th one unless this book is really bad or something. But I'm gonna follow the series through. And I'm very excited to do so because every book seems to end with some sort of cliffhanger. This book is also kind of dusty. I don't know what's up with that. But that is my last book. And I hope that you like this video. Like I said, if you have any nonfiction that you're super excited about, or if you've read any of these books, let me know. I hope that